So I'm gonna season it. This whole process is gonna be seasoned 3 different times. And you'll see why. And this some mustard. This is mustard powder. And these two right here are very similar. And when you put them in a clear glass, sometimes it can be very hard to figure out. One, you don't want to put too much in because it would be too spicy. And the other, you want to make sure you put enough in. And this is cayenne and this is paprika.
Very different spices.
Very different. And if you look at them at the naked eye without a label, you can tell paprika is just a bit more of a lighter reddish color. And then cayenne has like these little black crystals in there. That's just part of the pepper. So you can definitely get a distinct difference. And you'll sneeze if you smell it, so don't smell too much. Okay, so I have a question for you guys. Would you put cayenne pepper in something that you're gonna deep fry?
Let's see, would you? Hands up if you would. And if you wouldn't, why are we thinking you wouldn't? Any thoughts? Why do you think you wouldn't? Yeah, call it up. It would be too intense. We got that answer earlier, but you said that's a good answer, but not necessarily the answer you were thinking of.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
Think of the properties of it, though.
It depends.
To make it really hot, right?
Yeah, if you want it really hot, you can go that route. So I cook, you know, I'm a professional chef, so I like things that look really, really pretty when I finish cooking them. And if I put cayenne in the flour when I'm deep frying it, what will happen is the flour will get really dark. And it has this really, really dark. You can add paprika and all that, but for some reason cayenne doesn't have a high burn rate, and so when it burns on the chicken or whatever you're doing, it just makes it darker.
So it makes it look burnt.
Makes it look burnt.
The crust looks burnt.
Exactly, exactly. Okay, so I'm not gonna put a lot of salt in this because I'm gonna salt it 3 times. Like I said, I'm gonna season this 3 separate times, and I'm gonna use this coconut oil that I have here that I used earlier, and you just want a little bit. I don't like to add a lot of oil to this right here. And I'm just gonna mix it up.
And why would you do that, Chef? It just helps coat it, or why would you do that?
it just helps coat it a little bit more. You know, you can do all kinds of different things. Yeah, olive oil, coconut oil, whatever. You just want to do that a little bit so that it coats the whole chicken. And next, I'm gonna season and get this ready. I'm gonna season this as well. The same seasoning will go in here, and I'm gonna naked eye it. There we go.
Show of hands in the audience, who has made their own version of buttermilk if they don't buy it?
Yeah,
who
good
knows
question.
that ratio? Does anyone know? So you know how to make it.
What's the recipe?
Do you use lemon juice or vinegar? Either. Okay. And what's your ratio? 1 cup of milk, 2. We got 2 tablespoons here. You were saying closer to 1. But
2.
Range?
Yeah, no, it depends. Like a cup to 2, to a cup to 1. Yeah, it all depends on what you like. But that's exactly how you make it. So that's actually great. Okay, so now I'm gonna make my dredge. So I put all my seasonings that I put in my chicken in here. Just a pinch of salt, not a lot, because I'm gonna put more salt here. Now these right here are a secret ingredient that I just started using for my fried chicken. I grew up in a southern household, so you can imagine everything's all-purpose flour. You can use other flours too, but this is flour, and this is flour also. But this one's gluten-free. The reason I'm using gluten-free is because it makes it crispier, just a little bit more crispier. If you ever had Korean fried chicken, has anyone had Korean fried chicken before?
Anyone?
You know how crispy it is, and it's because they use cornstarch. They use a lot of cornstarch on their dredge. This right here actually has a little cornstarch in it, and it has other ingredients as well. So this is gonna be part of my dredge. And so all the rest of my ingredients, I'm just gonna toss it in here.
Chef, I'm super curious. How did you figure that out in the first place? Experimentation, how did that come about?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I mean, how do you just think one day to add gluten-free flour to your mix?
That was an accident. So I'm a private chef also. And I go to a couple people's homes and I cook for them.
Can you name drop? Is that allowed?
Yeah, I can name drop.
Drop that name.
I cooked for Brad Pitt. I cooked for
that guy.
Yeah, I cooked for Angeli, and they were separate.
Yeah. Okay.
I used to be Spicy P's private chef for Toronto Raptors.
Oh my gosh.
I cooked for the Raptors, so I get to go to their facility and cook for them there.
Oh, is that just over here?
just right down the street, the OVOs.
Yes, my goodness.
Yeah, so I
Love
get,
that.
it's awesome to see those guys, and
That's amazing.
it's interesting because they have a nutritionist there, and she always tells me to cook certain things, but they ask for something else, and I'm like, who's the client here? You know, you always want to make sure the client's happy.
That's a fair point. And we've worked with Latoya before, and I understand she's worked with them as well. So a lot of chefs that have come through there, cooking for the Raptors is probably quite the chore.
Yeah, it's fun too because those guys like to eat good food, so that's very helpful. Okay, so I got all this going. I got my dredge right here. Now I'm going to take my chicken and get it in there. And what I'm going to do is, if you guys are having a party, and I don't, you know, maybe it's just me because I'm from the South, but I've been to a lot of house parties in Canada, and there's not a lot of fried chicken going on. And I think I know why.
I don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Help us. Help us.
Yeah, I think, maybe I'm not invited to the right houses, who knows. But one thing that you can do if you want to have a party and have somebody over for fried chicken, and sometimes these small apartments in Toronto don't really lean well for smoking up the place. So what you could do is, you can do what I'm doing right now, is pre-dredge them. Pre-dredging actually helps a lot in a lot of different ways. So I grew up in a household where my mom would dredge it and then toss it right. So she'll have everything set up on the stove, 1, 2, 3, fryer, 1, 2, 3, fryer. So what I'm doing is pre-dredging because we're gonna talk a little bit more. And I'm just gonna put these in the wire rack here and let them rest and let all that moisture go into the flour from the chicken. And what that's gonna do is gonna create more of some crispiness to it, all those little crispy bits. And I'm gonna show you a trick here in a second that will even make it more crispier. It's like the secret recipe that Chick-fil-A uses. Maybe not recipe, but secret technique that they use to make their fried chicken so delicious.
Feel free to take notes, folks. This is good stuff you're about to learn.
Or just come to my restaurant.
That works too. Actually, how long has Feel in St. Clair been open now?
A month and a half.
A month. You're really good at coming here right after opening restaurants.
Yeah.
Seems to be a thing you do.
Yeah, so last time I was here last year, I had just opened my first restaurant, my first burger restaurant, and that's calendar year, so 2 weeks ago was our first year anniversary. And during that time, I've opened 2 other restaurants. So one calendar year, I opened 3 restaurants.
Wow.
It's extremely hard. It's extremely hard. A lot of sleepless nights. But the most important thing that I find that's really makes me satisfied in the restaurant industry, because I've been cooking for so long, I enjoy the food a lot, but the staff that works there, I have everyone who started from day one minus 3 people. And it's just like, that's really cool to know that, some of these kids are 19, 16 and a little bit older, but they're still there. I get to be a part of their lives, and we get to make really amazing food together. And it's really cool to just like see them and them grow and make a bit more money and meet different accomplishments. I'm really forward on just staff and like people, work environment. So I got a great staff, makes me very happy to be a part of that amazing team. Okay, so now we're gonna make this barbecue sauce that I told you guys about. No tomatoes up here, huh? So how is he gonna make barbecue sauce?
Interesting.
Yeah,
I don't see
like,
any red sauces of any kind.
did I forget the tomatoes?
I don't think so. What's
No.
going on there, Chef?
I did not forget the tomatoes. I got everything I need. So the barbecue sauce I'm gonna make is a barbecue sauce in a particular barbecue region in America. Who knows all the barbecue regions in America?
Does anyone know any of the barbecue regions?
Do you know any of them?
Can you name one of the regions? Call it out nice and loud. Kansas City is one. What's another barbecue region? What's that? Texas. Okay. Any other regions? Call it out. Georgia. Okay. Memphis. We're naming states.
Okay, yeah, those are regions.
States,
Yeah, that's what we call regions in
Those are
America,
regions,
states.
yeah, for sure.
I know Canada's a bit different with the provinces,
No worries.
but
with those all valid?
except for Georgia. So there's Kansas and there's Missouri. Missouri, Kansas there's 2 different barbecues in Missouri. So there's the St. Louis and there's a Kansas barbecue. There's the Texas.
I heard of Texas.
There's 2 in North Carolina. There's the chili and then there's the vinegar. And then you have Texas with the briskets. Then you have Tennessee
We're
and
missing something,
the
aren't we?
dark horse, Alabama. I bet no one actually knew that, and I can guarantee you 99% of Americans don't know about that one either. Alabama is a very unique barbecue hub. If you ever go to Alabama, and I recommend it, they have amazing beaches, very affordable. I mean, it's so easy to get to from Canada, from Toronto, and it's just a beautiful place. I've only been 2 or 3 times, but what I realized there is they have a very, very rich culture of food that no one talks about. We always talk about the Carolinas, we talk about Texas, other places, south like Mesa and California, but northern part of Alabama has a particular barbecue sauce that they made back in the day. Bob, Big Bob. He's the origin of this barbecue sauce. So he used to take all these whole barbecue smoked chickens and dip it in this Alabama white barbecue sauce. So we're gonna make an Alabama white barbecue sauce right now. In the South, we call that, yeah, cue and clap for that one. In the South, we call that the Southern ranch dressing. But it doesn't taste like ranch dressing. So
It just looks like it.
it just looks like it. So we're gonna make it here in this little bowl, and there's some key ingredients. Let's see if this one works out. The last time I made
the
this,
worst lemon I've ever seen, Chef, at the What a Clap Show.
that was
It's
horrible.
the worst lemon known to lemon.
Yes, it was so horrible.
Let's
So,
see. Okay, the big reveal.
oh yeah,
we
look
did
at that,
it.
look at that. So you need lemon. You gotta put enough lemon in there. And if you want to, at home, if you like to make your own, like, food, vinegars, you like to make your own pickles, then you should make your own mayonnaise, or we call it in the culinary world, aioli. I'm actually gonna add a little vinegar here as well.
What type of vinegar was that, though, Chef?
This right here is an apple vinegar.
Okay.
I'm gonna add a little mustard.
Is that a Dijon or a hot mustard?
This
What's
is a
going
hot
on there?
mustard.
Hot mustard.
You want this to be a bit spicy. A lot of people, so it's interesting about every region in the whole world. You can go to somebody's house and they say they make it this way. You can go across the street, they make it a different way. Alabama is either horseradish or cayenne pepper. I'm using cayenne. Just look, a little bit of cayenne. Yeah. Okay, so I got a little cayenne in there and some of my pickle juice.
Oh, brininess.
Brininess,
Yeah.
that's right. And then you add your aioli or mayonnaise. Now this right here, just spin it up, mix it up. So we serve this at the restaurant on our fried chicken sandwich and our grilled chicken sandwich. Now with Alabama barbecue sauce, you can make it super runny like this, or you can thicken it up. I'll thicken it just slightly. So if you go to Alabama, and I recommend, man, maybe somebody from Alabama should hit me up because I'm giving Alabama tourism right here. But yeah, so if you go to Alabama, they'll put it in a big vat, and it'll be very, very like liquidy. And they'll take the chicken and they'll dump it in there, and they'll serve it to you like that. It's absolutely amazing. When you go home, research this. Just go on YouTube and type in Alabama barbecue sauce. There's only 4 videos, and you'll learn all about it. It's super cool. Okay, so we're gonna mix this up. I want it to be a little thicker.
But it
There.
would still have that nice tang to it, right? With all that lemon and the
Yeah.
mustard, yeah.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be very tangy. And I put it on everything. I dip this with everything,
Puts
honestly.
that stuff on everything.
It was a commercial, wasn't
I
it?
think so. Some other spicy product that has not sponsored us, perhaps.
Definitely, definitely. So, yeah, through my travels, I wanted to talk a little bit about my travels of eating burgers, 250 across, man, Canada and America. Was pretty cool. I gained some weight. It was very interesting.
I hope you would, unless you'd be worried about your GI system if you had none.
I should have went running every day, but there was one particular. So right before we opened our restaurant, 2 weeks before, I decided to put a fried chicken sandwich on the menu, and my business partner doesn't eat a lot of fried chicken, and I gave him my fried chicken. He's like, "Oh, this is amazing," but he says, "Why don't we go to Nashville to actually taste some hot fried chicken?" I was like, "No, mine's really good. You don't need to." We go anyway. We fly to Nashville. We stay for Nashville to Connecticut, we drove. We stayed 10 days in the States, 3 days in Nashville, and I don't like spice. I'm not a big spicy guy. I do like a little heat, but not too much. So we land after a 3-hour delay in flight. You know how Air Canada is, all the delays. So we land, and we go to the hottest fried chicken, hot chicken in Nashville. And so I'm at the bar, and I'm like, I don't want to eat it. I'm very hungry, but I ate it. He had a bet that I eat the whole thing late at night, after 10, after 11. And he made a bet with me, and I can't say no to some bets. So I said, all right, I lost the bet, but this is the hottest chicken I ever ate. And I'm like, this is a very bad start to our trip. But with that being said, we ate like 10 fried chicken sandwiches within Nashville in 2 days. Then we drove all the way to Connecticut. We ate burgers along the way, so 4 burgers a day, just tasting burgers, so you can understand the research I did for this. 4 burgers a day. On the road, like there's so many places in the northeast of America that started making burgers in the 1800s, and they're still open. So that's really cool. So if you're into food travel, I would recommend that for sure.
That is the best research I've ever heard. It's gotta say, quite the trip.
So how do you guys tell your fry oil is ready at home?
Who's got a method? How do you know your fry oil is ready? Sprinkle flour. That's a little better than the sprinkle water.
We got a smart guy in the middle. You're a wise guy, eh?
Culinary student to be, I'm sure.
Last when we had somebody say water, I mean, that's extremely popular. A lot of people do water.
I love your response though. Are you cooking water?
Yeah, I did water for a long time too, so it's not like I'm knocking anybody. My mom does water. It just makes sense because it sizzles, you can see it, but you're cooking something with flour, right? So you want to toss flour in there. And water I promise you, my mom's a pro, so I would never tell her not to do it. Because
it's just a good rule overall.
Yeah, exactly. But anybody who's like just getting into cooking and you see people do certain things that are bad habits, try not to do them. Water doesn't work if you haven't been cooking for a long time because you can accidentally splash yourself and then burn your arm, which is unfortunate. But another way to kind of avoid yourself from burning your arm is put it in that way, away from you. See that splash that way? That's the way you want to do it. There you go. Did it again. Kind of stuck to the glove there. Okay, so I'm gonna let that fry for a bit, and I started on a very low fry because the way I like to fry is low, and then I increase the heat. It keeps the food very moist. As you can see, when I take this out, there won't be a lot of oil dripping, but I'm also gonna put it on this, and so the excess oil will drip, but there won't be a lot of oil. A lot of people think that, oh, you're going to start low, that means it's going to soak up all the oil. That's not true. Because when you increase, the meat actually expands and pushes that oil back out. So
I just learned a thing. That's good to know.
I'm here to teach you.
Thank you so much. I could learn from you or from our young friend here who seems to know a lot of things. So it's great.
Definitely. Okay, so I'm going to let this go low. I'm going to give you guys a cooking tip on salmon. Who likes salmon? This is a free one. This is a very free.
Take notes first.
This is a really,
good one.
Honestly, like, I like salmon a lot, and I gotta be cooked perfect. And my wife can season it any way she wants to, but she has to use this process. So you take your pan and you turn it on. Turn it on high, okay? Then you take your oven and you put it on 400 degrees, okay? I'm a big Bruce Lee fan, so it's like the art of fighting without fighting. This is the art of cooking without cooking. Oil it up, season it, and skin side down or skin side up, that's your decision. I prefer skin side down because I like it very crispy.
Yes, me too.
So I take my salmon after season and I place it in the pan, and it's really nice and hot and sizzling, and oh yeah, it's going to be done fast. Then I take the heat off and I take the pan up and I toss it in the oven at the 400 degree oven. And then I turn the oven off. Then I take the salmon out in 20 minutes. It's the perfectly cooked salmon. Every time.
Yes.
Every time. So you guys should try that, honestly. And then DM me when you try it. Let me know if it turned out all right. I know it will. Okay, so this is on a low.
I've heard people do a similar method with roast beefs and stuff like that. You know, they've got the oven as hot as they can. They put the roast beef in, they turn it off, and they leave it for a couple hours. That kind of thing.
Yeah. So you just gotta remember, you know, that there's a big strip on the outside of your oven that keeps heat in, and you can cook easily that way.
Don't peek. Don't open that door. Keep it close. That's
Yeah,
key,
don't
right?
peek. Don't peek. You can cook that way very easily, right? So I like to do that because I know it's bulletproof. I know that if I give my wife, dinner tonight and make some salmon, it won't be messed up at all. So it works out perfect. As you can imagine, since I'm a chef, I do 90% of the cooking at home, and I enjoy it. I enjoy every bit of it. But every once in a while, I like somebody else to cook for me.
And our chef also likes to say his wife, because he's a recently married chef. Can we hear it for our newlywed here?
Yes, thank you very much. And we have a kid on the way too.
Oh my gosh, congratulations!
I didn't tell you that either.
Oh my gosh. We're so excited. Well, we hope to see your child in the coming years.
Yes, definitely. So I'm gonna put some lettuce, nice crunchy lettuce, and a pickle. You can go crazy if you want to and put tomatoes, onions, whatever else you want to put on your chicken sandwich or any sandwich. But I keep it simple. I grew up in a very simple household when it comes to food. I'm a southern boy. My mom and dad used to make just fried chicken sandwiches on white bread. Super simple, super delicious. And our dessert, very modest home. We didn't sometimes, at one point we didn't have a lot. So our dessert was a little bit of granulated sugar on bread. That was it. And now I remember those days. Those days were great.
For a kid, it did the trick, I'm sure.
Those days were great. So just toasting my bread, getting my fried chicken going. I just increased the heat on the fried chicken. So the boil is gonna increase here. And once that happens, I'm gonna flip it and it's gonna be done. When you pound it out really nicely, it doesn't take long to cook. So if I had this at 350 degrees, it would have been done already. But I don't want to cook like that. And this actually helps, me talk a little bit longer as well.
That's fair. No, we got that beautiful overhead view thanks to our technician there. Those buns look perfect. What type of bun is that?
These are brioche.
Those are brioche. They're really golden and beautiful.
Yeah, these are brioche. I use potato buns in my restaurant.
Oh, you talked about those last year. Those are delicious.
They're super soft. But for the chicken sandwich, it's great. So you guys probably noticed me moving the chicken here every once in a while because it's a cast iron skillet, and it's not a deep cast iron skillet. The actual protein touches the bottom. So when it touches the bottom, there's heat on the bottom, right? So it'll burn, it'll get hotter there, and you could get some burn spots. So you just gotta move it around a little bit. We have a deep fry at the restaurant, super easy, no accidents.
And a given night, how many of these sandwiches might your restaurant sell?
The Bay Street location, about 150.
On this type of sandwich?
Yeah. The chicken sandwich is popular.
Yeah.
We have a couple new sandwiches coming on the menu, by the way.
We'll have to check it out.
Yeah. Cool, that's ready to go. And you can see it's increasing. The heat is getting hotter. And if I turn this over, it has a little brown right there.
Oh, we see that.
Yeah, and that's just because it's touching the bottom. Now that's not going to take too much longer. And while that's going, I'm going to get this ready here. So you see there's no color here, but it's very toasted. Sometimes I don't like too much color on my chicken sandwich. That's just how I like it. I think you do it how you want to do it, which makes sense. The sauce is going to go on the bottom. The pickles are going to go on the bottom. Now, who makes sandwiches at home or burgers? Raise your hand. Burger sandwiches. Do you like to put your toppings on the bottom or the top?
Toppings on the bottom, hands up. Toppings above the protein, hands up. Okay.
Okay, so
Everyone said above.
yeah, this is a common mistake. I got to ask everybody, how many people can taste food in the top of their mouth? And what does it taste like?
It tastes like top of mouth.
Yeah, right?
The taste comes out.
So your tongue's on the bottom, right? So like, if you put the food on the bottom, you get to taste the food better or faster. That's how they like to do it at the restaurant. That's kind of, I told my business partners, like, that's genius. Not really. But yeah, so it's a very common thing to to do that, to put all your toppings on top, because for some reason it looks really good. But if you go to California, if you're in California, you eat the California smash burger, all the toppings are on the bottom, except for one, and that's the lettuce. What does lettuce taste like?
Tastes like water.
Okay.
It's crunchy, right?
It's crunchy.
That's the idea.
There you go. So somebody got it right, and I think the California guys did. So that's great. Any home cooks here?
Who's the cook in their home?
Oh, right there. Yeah, we know you can cook. We know you can cook. Any other people out here cooking at home, barbecue?
A few folks. Oh, we're pointing to.
You know what? I love.
You just want her to cook for you. Is that how this works? Well done.
I love when men pointing to their significant others or
They're getting
wives.
voluntold to
Yeah, expecting a nice meal in there. I see. Yeah, I would have did the same thing. She cooks. That's right. Yeah, man. So if you guys cook at home, keep doing it. Man, cooking is, to me, cooking is love. Cooking is you're sharing with people something that you are doing and spending time in the kitchen with when you got friends and family over. So now we're going to put this sauce on this burger, and we'll talk about this a little bit more. Who makes the best burger in Toronto?
There you go.
Oh, he knows. He
Right
knows.
over.
There you go. You know. I mean, I think so. I believe we do. So
You've done enough research.
I've done the research. You know, I've done the research. The hard thing about restaurants are the consistency and the training. But I believe I have a great staff that does that. One thing at a restaurant that we do different and I'm not doing here is we make our own pickles, make them in house, and I make them particular for the burger because throughout my research, the common denominator was everyone had the same pickle. Every burger restaurant, maybe a slight variance difference here and there, but we make our pickles at my restaurant because I'm able. Now, if we have a burger competition, I give everybody the same ingredients. There are going to be some similarities there. The one thing that you can control is the acid, and if I can control the acid in my pickle, it changes the whole the mentality of how you should eat a burger. In my mind, the beef is the most powerful thing about a burger. That's why we want to eat it. But what complements that? You got cheese, which is an element of creaminess. You got the sauce, another element of creaminess. You got the onions. Sometimes they're sweet, so a bit sweetness. But then the tang from either the mustard or the if you put mustard separately, or we do a combination sauce, so it's more creamy. But that pickle is the one thing that you can control. That if we all make the same burger, mine is going to be different because of my pickle. And so when you taste all that creaminess and butteriness, you get that tang, it actually tastes perfect.
Are the Friday Burger Co. pickles on the brinier side or the sweeter side or kind of in between?
In between. Yeah, in between. It just makes the sandwich a lot better, in my opinion.
Like a lot of crunch.
A lot of crunch, and it's more about the flavor profile. You want to get the certain flavor profile. I started off in Michelin star restaurants, which I love, and so I learned a lot about different complexities of flavor and layers of flavor. And so I wanted to bring that to a simple burger. You see me using tongs. I still think I'm in a fancy restaurant. I'm making burgers.
This. You're the only chef we've ever seen making the humble burger with the Michelin star tong. I love it. It's wonderful.
Yeah, and you can't take it out. So
you can take the man out of culinary school, but you can't take culinary school out of Chef Friday.
No, not at all. There you go. So the chicken is ready, and it's not super dark. I think this is perfect. Most people would, probe these, see if the temp's ready.
But you can just tell.
Because of my professionalism, I can tell.
That's right. You cook enough sandwiches, you can tell.
You know what? I got that line from my mom. After I graduated culinary school, she wanted to have a cooking competition. And of course she won. But because my mom can really throw down in the kitchen. So thankful for that. Okay, so here, all this chicken's ready. You can typically, I would never tell anybody to, if the chicken floats is done. I think that's a very bad way to kind of look at it. I think you should get something to put it in there, a probe, and see the temperature.
Now, Chef Friday, I don't know if I missed it, but you were going to tell us a little trick about when the batter was on the little pockets before you fried them.
Yes.
I don't know if we caught that. Did we hear that today?
Yeah, so you know the liquid, I put a little liquid on top of the batter right before I fried them. That was to get these little nuggets of crispiness. If you can see, yeah, you can see these little nuggets, like this is super crispy. You can't hear it because you guys are way out there. So you can hear it? No, you can hear it.
It's almost like a layer of batter on top of the batter.
Can you hear that?
Oh yeah, we hear it.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a crisp. That's a crunch.
That works, that's pretty cool. Oh, it's tasty.
We'll give you a minute. Take your time.
I do recommend when you do fried chicken, if you're gonna do it ahead of time, I would marinate it 24 hours before. Buttermilk, toss it in the refrigerator, leave it alone. I've done that with whole turkeys too. It's just really good. Tenderizes it perfectly. Okay, so, man, that's a nice piece of chicken. I'm gonna toss this here. These are nice and rested. And there's not a lot of excess oil there. If you can see that.
Yeah, we can see over top, just a little bit of drip.
Yeah, there's not a lot of drip there, and that's a really good sign that that technique I just told you works. So, okay, now the fun part. I'm gonna season this bad boy, sauce it, just on top like that. You get a little messy if you want to, like I'm about to do. That's a good looking sandwich.
Do you provide a lot of napkins at the tables, Chef, in your restaurant?
You know, that's food costs.
Yeah, that's fair, yeah. Bring your napkins, people.
We call this the finger napkin. It's like write it off, wipe it off like that.
Lick the plate.
Yeah. If you look at my YouTube channel, that's the kind of like my thing is like finger napkin. Yeah, so all the burgers that I ate, I documented on my TikTok. So if you want to go check out my TikTok and look at the burgers that I've eaten, my business partner's like, you got to document it. I was like, man, I don't know. But I did, and it worked.
Look at that drip, we can see it.
The drip, keep dripping. There we go. So this is the Friday buttermilk sandwich. You can get something similar at my restaurant. We use sesame seeds on top, and the seasoning's different. The biggest component of the seasoning that I do different is I don't add Old Bay anymore. I used to add Old Bay to my fry seasoning. A lot of people say, oh, that's for fish. No, man, you can use Old Bay for anything. But I don't do it anymore. Now we make our own Old Bay in-house. That's that whole fine dining training. It's like you want to make sure you can control all the elements of flavor. So we make our seasoning in-house. We make our pickles in-house. All of our sauces are made in-house. And soon, our next location, we'll start grinding our own meat. But that takes time. A lot of hard work.
Well, we've seen a lot of hard work today, and I'm sure a lot of hard work goes into 3 and growing restaurants at Friday Burger Co. Can we hear it once more for Chef Joe Friday, everyone? Make sure you visit him at his restaurants. Make sure you follow him online. And one more congratulations to you in your family life, but also in your business life.
Thank you
so much once again. Thanks for coming to see me.
Thank you, everybody.
Very soon.
I really appreciate your time. Have a great day.
Next.